Hey guys, a very long time ago, I did a video on one of my favorite horror games of all time, F.E.A.R. But I was always a little apprehensive diving into the sequel as well. It isn't very good. If you're new to the channel or haven't seen that previous video, links in the description, go check it out. It's pretty good. Might be a little bit biased saying that, sorry. But my OCD has gotten the best of me, so I finally decided to sit down and take a look back at F.E.A.R 2 Project Origins to see if it was any good or if it really was the start of the downfall for the F.E.A.R series, as it only gets much worse from here on out. Oh boy. Okay, so a quick recap. F.E.A.R in the series stands for First Encounter Assault Recon, basically a more kitted out Ghostbusters. And this was the team that Point Man joins in the first game. They chase a spooky ring girl around the city, uncovering her story about how the best dad in the world decided to put her into a program to control mindless replicas, these soldiers that do not have any free will, because she has some psychic powers. Now, she doesn't really much like this, so Daddy Dearest decides to skip a generation by forcefully impregnating Alma, the little girl, at the age of 15. So she'll have kids that will most surely be easier to control. And for good measure, decided to use his own genetic fluid in the process. Oh, yeah, what a cool maternal figure. He then locks her into a stasis pod. Now, Alma had twins, Point Man and Paxton from the first game, but obviously this whole living situation wasn't that great and she started to get a little bit pissy. She started controlling Paxton to kill off a few guards in anger. Honestly, with what's happened, kinda based. So again, her father makes a brilliant decision to turn off her life support, just killing her outright at the age of 26, after she had spent 11 years being in one of those things that made Goku heal in Dragon Ball Z. This guy, man. You know what? I'm kind of happy my dad never actually brought home that milk. Dodged a bullet. She eventually gets free and Point Man nukes the city in F.E.A.R 1. Now, that game was really fun. I loved it. Now, F.E.A.R 2 Project Origins takes place 30 minutes before Point Man nukes the city at the end of F.E.A.R 1. This time, the player is taking control of Beckett. This squad is tasked with escorting a VIP from a penthouse, but Alma shows up, showing a little bit of interest in Beckett. Looking at some files we find throughout the level, we learn that our squad are all candidates for a weird experiment on trying to control Alma, but we don't really know too much else other than that. Just note that Beckett is the strongest applicant so far. The nuke goes off, freeing Alma from the first game, and we wake up in hospital after a medical procedure. Hey, Doc, I don't think this is all above board. Trust me, I'm a doctor. Okay, well, if you say, I'm gonna need to see that practice license. This procedure gives Beckett the same abilities as Point Man for gameplay reasons. So now we can slow down time. I don't know why we just didn't do Point Man again, but sure. Everyone can have slow-mo. Point Man doesn't feel so special now, does he? The gameplay this time around is, well, I don't know, man. It feels off compared to F.E.A.R 1. Shooting doesn't seem to always work. Shots don't hit targets when you're aiming at them. The enemy AI is a massive downgrade compared to the original title. You don't get those cool moments with the replicas calling out their tactics. It just feels like more of a generic FPS title with fodder enemies. The AI is just far less dynamic and creative. Most fights boil down to taking cover and becoming more of a shooting gallery, whereas F.E.A.R 1 made you feel more like an untouchable god frontlining all these fights. It's a poor change in my opinion. The levels, I will say, are more varied this time around. Instead of F.E.A.R 1 where it was just office corridor after office corridor, it's nice to have a few more set pieces, but dear god, how many underground bases does this city have? We go through like 5. The gameplay loop is pretty similar too. You have your big fight sections and empty exploration sections, followed by the spooky scary. Rinse and repeat, there you go, there's credits. A positive note though, ragdolls are back at least, though they are a little bit more tamer than the first iteration, which honestly pisses me off far more than it probably should. I mean, I feel like a bit of a hypocrite. F.E.A.R 2 struggles with its identity a lot, and it's one of my biggest criticisms with this game. It doesn't know what it wants to be. And the funny ragdolls in F.E.A.R 1 didn't really match the tonal pace of that game either. They were pure comedy, added in there as just a little joke. But I feel like those ragdolls made the gameplay for me in that game. I'll die on this hill, but I feel like we should have ragdolls in every single video game. Man, just give me Mario ragdolling off a cliff in a Nintendo licensed game, and I can die happy. Like I said, in F.E.A.R 2, they are still here, and they are still pretty goofy, and you can also pin enemies to the wall with the hammerhead weapon, just like in the previous game, and again, I love that stuff. Replicas, when you kill them, they will continue to hold down the trigger until the entire mag is emptied, and I love that attention to detail. Like, sitting there and actually deciding to program in rigor mortis for your NPCs, oh, that's so good. I harp on F.E.A.R 2 a lot, but I give major props when I see this stuff. They also added a few little extra details that I'm a big fan of. Enemies will freak out when you set them on fire, which honestly is pretty realistic, and sometimes they'll even run into a wall in that panic. That's good stuff. With the spooky side of things though, this time Alma feels far more scripted. An issue a lot of people had in the previous title was that some scares were very easy to miss, just by not looking in the right direction that the developers wanted you at that given moment. I get that probably annoyed some people, but I feel like that added to F.E.A.R 1 so much more than it took away. It gave the player far more reason to replay, and puts you more on the edge of your seat. You never know what was going to happen. And even missing a sting or a spooky section or jump scare actually freaked you out more because you didn't actually know what Alma was up to. That was fantastic. I loved that stuff. Here, it's usually just Alma sprinting at the player at Mach 1 speeds. Or just being completely oblivious to oncoming traffic. Alma, look out for that taxi! Oh dear God! I don't know, I just didn't find the horror aspect as gripping this time around. Which is wild when the first game dropped in 2005 and was up there with some of the greatest survival horror titles of that generation. This game doesn't even come close to those, not to mention their sequels. We honestly get more Alma ass shots than genuine scares, which, well... No, stop, I can't do that. Alright, so back to the story. This time, because Beckett's psychic link to Alma after the operation has gotten a bit bigger, like other things that are going to happen to Beckett in this game, the replicas start chasing after him because, well, Alma is horny for Beckett, so this spreads to the replicas. So they too are now horny for Beckett, and they want to shove pointy things inside of him, mostly bullets. Escaping the hospital, the VIP we were trying to protect at the start of the game turns on a machine that broadcasts our position to Alma. So now she knows where we are at any given time. During the hospital section, I do like this part here where we see one of our squad mates going through the exact same operation Bucket went through. Unfortunately, this one is not going too well. It's pretty messed up. I mean, it's super interesting. This could have been our boy Beckett stuck on the table here. It's a shame that these moments are insanely few and far between because, man, I love this stuff. I wished they baked way more of this atmosphere in F.E.A.R 2. We get a very mob-heavy underground fight section underneath the hospital. It's okay. Again, like, if you didn't tell me this game was F.E.A.R in this section, I'll just assume it's some generic FPS title. After this, we head to a local school looking for a mysterious person that can solve our little ring girl issue. His name is Snake Fist. What a dork. The school section was honestly the best part of this entire game. It was the only time I genuinely was on the edge of my seat. The scares are great. Alma is stalking you throughout this entire section, and it just works. I wish the whole game was like the school section. There was a moment where these two things intertwined, the scary aspect and Alma stalking you. You get this dark section which has this constant bright flash of ghosts attacking you. But sometimes it's a fake out with Alma being the jump scare, not some ghost you need to shoot. So you don't know what's going to pop up at any given time, but you need to be ready to fire. So you're just in this instant adrenaline panic mode the whole time trying to get out of a room that is pitch black. It is honestly great stuff. It feels like a completely different team built this level compared to the rest of the game. So throughout the game, Alma's tried to grab Bucket, but we've shooed her away. She gets kind of fed up of being rejected by him and decides to get her revenge body game going hard by adding a few curves to try and entice him. I know I shouldn't, but man, I'm so tempted. So yeah, Alma literally goes for a more attractive form to try and get Beckett more interested in her. Kind of love it. And though this does work on her squad mates who start to see Alma, Beckett just outright refuses to give in to that goon lifestyle. Honestly, gotta respect it. I feel like I would be a weaker man. We're exploring another underground lab underneath the school. Jesus Christ. We meet Snakefist, and I mean, the game has been building him up for a hot minute here, making him very mysterious. He knows all the ins and outs with Alma. I'm kind of interested to see what it's going to be like finally having a chat with the guy. I'm sure he is going to break this story wide. Oh, and he's dead. Cool. Moving right along, the replicas are constantly hounding Beckett at this point, so we need to get into a motherfucking mech and skill diff them. All suspense in this game has just gone out of the window. I'm being such a negative Nancy here, but again, the first title had the survival horror element. You're conserving ammo, you're trying to find the most efficient way to deal with the replicas and monsters, because, hey, ammo doesn't grow on trees here. It does in this game. It's just power fantasy with the mech and the turret sections. This is a horror game. Again, overly negative tie here, but this game falls so flat compared to the first title. Even the story beats are just so bland. We keep getting shots of Alma playing on a swing, and later we find out it was part of the facility where she was being brought up. Well, where she was kept prisoner. Again, yeah, it does show she had a very bad upbringing. It sucks. But we went over this so much in F.E.A.R 1. You don't need to tell me her dad's a dick or that she was being experimented on and abused. We know all of this playing F.E.A.R 1. Why are we still on this? And nothing, and I mean it, nothing gets progressed from what we got in F.E.A.R 1. Other than Alma now for some reason want a bit of B's D, nothing happens for our character. Hi guys, editing Ty here. Just wanted to point out that there is a moment in the hospital when you're trying to escape that has Alma looking for her lost sons, Paxton and Pointman, in the morgue of that hospital. She believes Armaken killed them off. That's a very nice moment for her character, so I just thought I'd mention that. So yeah, there you go. Anyway, back to me being mad at a game from 2009. So one of our squad mates starts seeing Alma and he falls victim to her naked vices. So we have to run after him for 3 levels. Just chasing this guy for 3 goddamn levels. Oh, surely they'll be interesting. There are stupid underground facilities again. Oh, I hate it so much. It's so boring. Nothing happens here. You just follow him, he instant transmissions away, and then you get attacked by replicas. I can't believe I'm gonna say this, but I'm starting to miss the Fat Man sections from F.E.A.R 1. This game starts a slow, painful death here. It's so repetitive. Thankfully, while we're playing hide and seek with Keegan, this whole journey does end up spitting us out at the facility we were aiming for thanks to Snakefist's intel. He wants the squad to put Beckett in an amplifier boosting his psychic signature so he can fight Alma in his mind palace man to man to woman, man to ghost? I don't know, man. Because if he boosts his psychic signature, he'll be able to resist her assets. We get strapped into the chair, but Aristide shows up, the woman we were meant to protect at the beginning of the game, and she puts a cap in Dokes. I've been watching too much Dexter, not Stokes. If Dokes was in this game, it'd be so much better. So it turns out this entire program she was putting the squad through was to create a host for Alma to fuse with so they could try and control her again. Guys, you know that didn't go too well the last time you tried it, and she was a literal child back then. Why in the hell would this work now? Oh, it doesn't make much sense. Aristide is just a copy and paste of Alma's father from the first game, only because, well, Alma disowned him back in that title. Anyway, using Beckett as bait works as Alma's ass shows up, and the rest of her, sure, and she puts us into an hallucination where we have to fight off Keegan, who's fully given in to Alma's control, and is now a little jealous that she wants a piece of Bucket and not him.
Why doesn't she want me?
He shadow clone jutsus, and we take him out. The entire time we get some real questionable flashes to what Alma's doing to our body in the real world. And I mean, it sounds like she's having a good time. We wake up and Alma is now pregnant. I didn't pay attention in school, but I just assume that's how it works. And then the game ends. Okay, I guess Beckett will now plan a one-way trip to somewhere that isn't here. I mean, that's what I would do in this situation. Guess I am my father's son. And that's it. That's the story of F.E.A.R 2 Project Origins. It's nothing. Nothing gets progressed from the first title. All questions around Alma and Paxton and Pointman literally do not get brought up. It boils down to Alma just building this parasocial relationship with Beckett and then taking advantage of him at the end of the game. Like, hun, I get it. You're in a stasis pod for a very long time, but keep it in your pants, girl. The gameplay felt far more sterile and way more safe compared to the last title. The horror went for a more body horror and gore theme rather than psychological, which, I mean, is just a meh theme compared to the first game. I don't know, man. A lot of fans of the series think the downfall of F.E.A.R was with F.E.A.R 3, and, well, yeah, that's a terrible, terrible game. But the cracks did start showing far earlier with the sequel, rather than when the house fully collapsed on itself with the third. But we're not done yet. Just like with F.E.A.R 1, an expansion released 7 months later after the base title. And unlike that game, this one is canon. Well, kinda. F.E.A.R 2 Reborn focuses around our boy Paxton. He wants to not be dead anymore. And if I had a penny for every time he wanted that, I mean, I'd only have 3 pennies, but kind of crazy it happened thrice, right? And I say it's kind of canon because this does later get retconned in the third title. So instead of him being reborn, he's just a spooky ghost again, which is cool. Just means this whole expansion is completely pointless. Okay. It's set in the same time as the base game and you play as Replica 813. Working with a platoon of replicas. Now this is pretty cool, working with the bad guy being the bad guy. I always like it when you get a taste of the other side of the narrative. And I have to be honest, the gameplay, it might be hard coping from my side, but it feels more like the original F.E.A.R, right? I don't know, the AI seems far more intelligent, even going back to the old callouts that I didn't hear once in the base game.
He's behind the boxes. Target acquired. How can he move like that?
The mobs seem far more organized with their attacks on the player. Again, compared to the guys who just drop down zip lines to their deaths in the story, it's night and day. Anyway, we meet up with some other replicas, but we get some interference. While trying to sort it, 813 starts seeing some ghouls and goblins, and then just decides to Frank Reynolds them. Turns out these weren't ghouls and goblins, these were his own platoon. He just killed all of his squad mates. Good job, 813. The replicas obviously accuse him of going rogue, and now they want blood. Alma is also back in this story, but she's now a little kid again. Why? I thought once she was released from the pod, at the end of F.E.A.R 1, she took the form of her 26-year-old body. You know, what she was like when she died. I mean, I can assume they went back to the little girl version because it's more spooky, but man, trying to make sense of this timeline for these games is so hard. Please like and subscribe for my sanity. It seems Paxton is trying to bring our replica boy to a church. Okay, just like Extraction. The expansion that the developers deemed was not canon and was far better than this one, okay? No, I'm not okay. If you were going to retread the same narrative from that expansion, why didn't you just remake that expansion? It's so weird. The gunplay, like I mentioned, is really good. It feels much more like the fights in the first game, and we do get some real good scares in this DLC. And they get a bit creative with the fights. There are moments where you're fighting off Alma's creatures and also replicas who are fighting off Alma's creatures as well. So it becomes a bit of a free-for-all. Everyone's trying to kill everyone. It's great. It's pretty fun. My issue is the DLC only lasts a disrespectful 45 minutes. I looked online, this DLC gets so much praise from the fan base and I just do not get it. Sure, they fixed some issues with the base game, but guys, just because F.E.A.R 2 was a terrible game doesn't mean we should glaze the expansion that's just doing what F.E.A.R 1 did. Anyway, once we get to Paxton, he takes control of our body and not in the gross way like his mother does. And it looks like our boy is back in town. Now, I don't know if this is just to show that he has taken the body and now it looks like Paxton, or if all the replicas look like Paxton because he was the commander using his psychic link to control them in the first game. I kind of like the idea that they all look like Paxton. But yeah, he's alive again till The next game, where it gets retconned and he's a stupid ghost again. I'm sorry, this is a nothing burger DLC. Just like the base game, if I'm completely honest. This whole experience while I was playing this game didn't feel like F.E.A.R to me. Now, when I did some research, I read that the series was supposed to be kind of like an anthology series. Every game was supposed to be just the F.E.A.R unit tackling some kind of supernatural issue, you know, as they're supposed to be the first responders to that stuff. And it was going to be a different spooky scare every time. That sounds so dope to me. But instead we get this family issue ridden trio because Alma was a fan favorite when it released. And we don't get anything about that in this plot at all. F.E.A.R was a great idea and such a fun video game. I always like to go back and play it when it actually runs on my hardware. But the ball just kept getting dropped after its release. I kind of wish it was a one and done, as what came after kind of killed the legacy for the franchise. I don't know if I'm going to upset people. I don't know if I'm the minority or the majority on this opinion and take on F.E.A.R 2. But like I said, I was very apprehensive doing this video because I knew I wasn't going to like it. It was going to come across very negative. So let me know what your thoughts are. Do you like the title? Do you agree it's kind of meh? Maybe someone out there actually thinks F.E.A.R 3 is the best in the franchise, and I will find you. But all I know is I didn't like it. But hey, that's one chubby Brit dude in a Thai's opinion. Thank you for watching this far in the video. Me and YouTube love you so much for doing that. And for those who didn't make it this far in the video, let's talk shit about them in the comments. They'll never know. As always, a massive glaze to the guys and girls that support me over on Patreon. If you would like exclusive content, updates on projects, and a sexy shout out at the end of every single video I make, hit the link on screen and sign up today. Thank you, Pitstab, Ali Tato, The Shane 209, Chris Spicer, Critical Quacker, and Pitor Skalaski. Much love, guys. The support I absolutely truly adore. Thank you. It gives me the warm fuzzies in my belly. That's all from me till the next video. Stay safe out there. Stay fashionable, gents. Thai out. Peace.